Question is from exercise 1, question number 1. It's like this. A manufacturer sells a TV. A manufacturer sells a TV to a dealer at rupees 18,000 and a dealer sells it to a consumer keeping a rupees 1,500 as a profit. Now the sales are intrastate, that means within the same state, and the rate of GST is 12%. Since the sales are intrastate, the GST, the rate of GST divides into two equal part. The half of 12 is 6, so 6% goes to a state government as a HGST, and another 6% goes to a central as a CGST. We can consider we have two cases. The first case is from manufacturer to a dealer, manufacturer to a dealer. So first case for dealer. For dealer, price of a TV is 18,000 and amount of GST is 12% of rupees 18,000. 12% of rupees 18,000 is equals to 12 divided by 100 into 18,000. This 20 will get cancelled. So 12 into 180 is equals to 2,160. This is the amount of tax, total amount of tax. This total amount of tax divided into two equal half, that is divided by 2 is equals to 1080 and 1080. That means 1080 goes to a central government and another 1080 goes to the state government. The second part is from dealer to consumer. Dealer to consumer. So for consumer, price of a TV is equals to rupees 18,000 plus rupees 1,500, which is equals to 19,500. Rate of GST is equals to 12%. Therefore, the amount of GST is equals to 12% of rupees 19,500. So 12 divided by 100 into rupees 19500. This 20 gets cancelled with this 20. 12 into 195 is equals to 2,340. As we know that this 2,340 will divide into two equal parts, which is equals to 1,170, which goes to the central government as a CGST, and another half 1,170 goes to a state government as a SGST. Now overall this is a output GST and this is a input GST. Okay, summary. For a dealer, cost price is rupees 18,000 and the amount of tax is 2,170, which divided into two equal half as 1080 as a CGST and 1080 as a SGST. And for the consumer, its cost price of the TV is 19,500 and amount of tax is 2,340, which again divide into two equal parts. 1,170 goes to a central government and 1,170 goes to a state government. Now the question. The first question is the amount of GST paid by a dealer. We know that this is your output GST and this is your input GST. So particular dealer, how much dealer paid to a government, to a state government, it's a output minus input. That means 1,170 minus 1,080, which is equals to rupees 90. Second question, the amount of GST received by central government. Then how much amount of money is received by a central government? In the first case it's a 1,080. First case is 1,080 and from the second case it's rupees 90. So when I add this two, I'll get 1,170. Similarly, the amount of GST received by a state government is also 1,080 rupees plus rupees 90, which is equals to 1170. Now last one, the amount that the consumer pays for the TV is equal to, it's a rupees 19,500 plus total amount of tax, which is a 2,340. When I add this two, we will get 21,840 rupees. Question is question number 4, exercise 1. Question is says that a dealer buys an article at a discount of 30% from the wholesaler. So a wholesaler sells an article to a dealer at a discount of 30%. Now, and the mark price being rupees 6,000. So mark price of an article is rupees 6,000. The sales are in this interest rate. The sales are interest rate, and the rate of GST is 5%. So we know that in case of interest rate, the GST will divide into two equal half, and one half goes to a central government as a CGST, and another one goes to the state government as a SGST. So here the rate of interest is 5%. So half of 5 is 2.5, and 2.5 will goes to a state and central respectively. The first part, for dealer, the cost price of an article is rupees 6,000 minus 30% of 6,000. Why is minus? Because discount is 30%. So it's 30 divided by 100 into 6,000. So 20 gets cancelled with 20. 30 into 60 is equals to 1,800. Your mark price is rupees 6,000. When I subtract 1,800 from 6,000, I'll get 4,200. Now we got the cost price of an article is rupees 4,200. Now amount of tax is 5% of rupees 4,200. That is 5 divided by 100 into 4,200. 20 gets cancelled. So 5 into 42 is 210. This 210 divided into two parts. 210 divided by 2 is 105. It goes to a central government, and another 105 rupees goes to a state government. Okay, now second part is dealer sells it to a consumer at a discount of 10%. Now dealer sells it to a consumer, that article, at a discount of 10%. This now for a consumer, the cost price of an article, mark price 6,000 minus 10% of 6,000. 10% of 6,000. Why 10%? Because discount we have is 10%. So minus 10 divided by 100 into 6,000. 20 gets cancelled with 20. So I'll get 600. So 6,000 minus 600 is equals to 5,400. That means for consumer, the cost price of an article is equals to 5,400, and the tax is 5% of 5,400. 20 gets cancelled with this 20. So 5 into 54 is equals to 270. 270 divided by 2 is 135. This goes to a central government, and this rupees 135 goes to a state government. Okay, now a summary. For a dealer, cost price of an article is rupees 4,200, and amount of tax is 210 rupees, which is divided into two equal half. 105 rupees for a central government and 105 rupees for the state government. Now for a consumer, Cost price of an article is 5,400 and amount of tax is 270. This 270 divided into two equal half, that is rupees 135 for a central government and another rupees 135 for the state government. Here this is your output GST and this is your input GST. Now a calculation part. Question number 1 says that we need to calculate the amount paid by a consumer for the article. So its cost price is 5,400 plus tax is 270. So when I add this two, I'll get 5,670. Number 2, the tax under GST paid by a dealer. It's a dealer, so this is we know that this is your output and this is your input for a dealer. So the tax paid by a dealer to the state government is output, which is 135 minus input, which is a 105. When I subtract this two, I'll get rupees 30. Now the sub number 3, the amount of tax under GST received by the central government, In the first case, central government will receive 105, and in the second case, the central government receive 30 rupees. So when I add this two, I'll get 135. This is the total tax received by a central government in this overall transaction. This question is from exercise 1, question number 5. Question says that the printed price of an article is rupees 50,000. The printed price of an article is rupees 50,000 and the sales are intrastate. Intrastate means within the same state. So the rate of GST is 18%. In case of intrastate, this 18% divided into two equal halves. That means 18 divided by 2 is 9. First 9% goes to the state government as a SGST and another 9% goes to the central government as a C. Now let's understand this whole problem first with this diagram. So a wholesaler allows a discount of 10% to a shopkeeper. So that means wholesaler is going to sell an article to a shopkeeper, giving him a discount of 10%. So what is the cost price? So cost price of an article for a shopkeeper is equals to rupees 50,000 minus 10% of rupees 50,000. Why minus? Because it's a case of discount. And 10% of rupees 50,000 is equals to rupees 5,000. So 50,000 minus rupees 5,000 is equals to rupees 45,000. That is the cost price. The cost price of an article for a shopkeeper is rupees 45,000. Okay, after a cost price of an article, let's calculate the amount of tax. Amount of tax is equals to 18% of rupees 45,000. 18% of 45,000 means 18 divided by 100 into 45,000. Now 20 gets cancelled with 20, so 18 into 450 is equals to rupees 8,100. This 8,100 divided into two equal parts, so that means 8,100 divided by 2 is equals to 4,050, which goes to a central government, and another 4,050 goes to a state government as CGST and SGST. Okay, now next transaction is from shopkeeper to a consumer. So now shopkeeper sells the same article to a consumer but leveling 4% above the mark price. Above the mark price means plus, discount means minus. Keep this thing in your mind. Above a mark price means plus and discount means minus. So now for consumer, what is the cost price? The cost price of an article is 50,000 rupees, 50,000, which is printed price, plus since it's our plus 4 percentage of rupees 50,000. So 4 percentage of 50,000 is equals to rupees 2,000. So the cost price of an article for a consumer is equals to rupees 52,000. Okay, after calculation of a cost price of an article for a consumer, which is equals to 52,000, let's calculate the amount of tax. Amount of tax is equals to 18 percentage of rupees 52,000, which is equals to 9,360. This is the amount of whole tax. This 9,360 is divided into two equal half, that is 9360 divided by 2 is equals to 4,680. One half goes to a central central government as a CGST, and another half 4,680 goes to a state government as a SGST. Now let's come to a conclusion. For a shopkeeper, the cost price of an article is rupees 45,000 and the amount of tax is 8,000 8,100. This 8,100 divided into two equal parts, that is a 4,050 rupees which goes to a state government and 4,050 rupees which goes to the central government. And for a consumer, the cost price of an article is 52,000 and the amount of tax is 9,360, which is divided into two equal half, 4,680, 4,680. Now this is your output GST and this is your input GST. Question sub number 1. The amount inclusive of tax on the GST which a shopkeeper pays for the article. So its cost price is equals to 45,000 plus total tax is 8,100, which is equals to 53,000 and 100 rupees. Sub number 2, the amount paid by a consumer for an article inclusive of tax is 52,000 plus 9,360, which is equals to rupees 61,360. Sub number 3, the amount of tax paid by a shopkeeper, which is a output minus input. Output minus input is equals to 630 rupees. Okay, my next question is question number 9. It says that the printed price of an article is equals to rupees 40,000 and a wholesaler in Uttar Pradesh buys an article from a manufacturer in Gujarat, two different states. So that means this is a case of interstate sales. At a discount of 10% on the printed price, the wholesaler sells the article to a retailer in Himachal Pradesh, three states, Uttar Pradesh, Gujarat and Himachal Pradesh, at 5% above the printed price. If the rate of GST on the article is 18%, find the amount inclusive of tax under GST paid by the wholesaler for the article, the amount inclusive of tax under GST paid by a retailer for the article, the amount of tax under GST paid by the wholesaler to the central government, and the amount of tax under GST received by the central government. So let's check. Since the sales are interstate, the rate of GST is 18%. Here the rate of GST will not divide it into two parts. The printed price is rupees 40,000 and according to the problem, there is a manufacturer who is in Gujarat is selling an article to a wholesaler who is in Uttar Pradesh, giving him a discount of 10%. Now for a wholesaler, the cost price of an article is equals to rupees 40,000 minus, because it's a case of discount, 10% of rupees 40,000. 10% of rupees 40,000 is rupees 4,000. 40,000 minus 4,000 is equals to rupees 36,000 is, so rupees 36,000 is the cost price of an, after calculating the cost price of an article, let's find the amount of GST. Amount of GST is equals to 18 percentage of rupees 36,000, that is 18 divided by 100 into 36,000 is equals to rupees 6,480. Now second part of the question, the wholesaler which is at Uttar Pradesh is going to sell an article to a retailer at a Himachal Pradesh, marking 5% above the mark price. So making a cost price of an article is equals to mark price plus 5% above the mark price. So now for retailer, the cost price of an article is rupees 40,000 plus y plus, because it's a above the mark price, 5% of rupees 40,000. 5% of rupees 40,000 is equals to rupees 2,000. So mark price, that is a 40,000 plus 2,000 is equals to 42,000. That is, for a retailer, the cost price of an article is equals to rupees 42,000. Now we'll calculate the amount of tax, amount of GST. Amount of GST is equals to 18%. 18% of rupees 42,000. So 18 divided by 100 into 42,000 is equals to rupees 7,560. So the amount of GST is equals to rupees 7,560. Now a summary person. For wholesaler, cost price of an article is 36,000 and the amount of tax is 6,480, and for a retailer, cost price is equals to 42,000 and amount of tax is 7,560 rupees. Question number 1, the amount inclusive of tax under GST paid by a wholesaler, for the article, it's 36,000 plus 6,480, which is equals to 42,480 rupees. Sub number 2, the amount inclusive of tax under GST paid by a retailer, which is equals to cost price 42,000 plus tax 7,560, which is equals to 49,560. The amount of tax under GST paid by a wholesaler, it's very important point, very important point. Paid by the wholesaler means output GST minus input GST. So 7,560 minus 6,480 is equals to 1,080 rupees. And the last one, the amount of tax under GST received by the central government. So it's a 7,560. How come this? 6,480 plus 1,080 rupees. So when I add this two, I'll get 7,560.